Thank you for staying with us here on The Pulse. Let's start with the 24-hour economy. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has hailed the 24-hour economy policy as a revival of Dr. Nkrumah's visionary legacy, emphasizing industrial resuscitation as a key driver of Ghana's development agenda. Speaking at the official launch, President Mahama outlined his vision for a future where Ghanaian-made products are exported globally to generate income. Despite potential implementation challenges, he expressed strong optimism about policy success and its transformative impact on the economy.
While the 24-hour plus program is national in scope, our flagship intervention is the Volta Economic Corridor, a transformational effort to unlock the economic and environmental potential of the Volta Lake and its surrounding lands. Ladies and gentlemen, our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, envisioned the Volta project at Akosombo not only as a source of power to power Ghana's industrial sector. He also saw it as an integrated project that will provide agribusiness, it will provide lands for agriculture, irrigation. Unfortunately, that aspect of his vision have been lost. Today, we're recreating Kwame Nkrumah's dream. Today, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's dream comes alive again. We will irrigate over 2 million hectares of land for intensive agriculture under Grow 24. We will establish agro-industrial parks for textiles, pharmaceuticals, and food processing under Make 24. We will develop tourism clusters along the lake under Show 24. We will turn the lake into a central transport corridor that connects the north to the south and the east to the west under Connect 24. And so, ladies and gentlemen, imagine a future where fresh fruits and vegetables from Tamale are air freighted daily to Europe and other destinations. Imagine aquaculture along the lake, the Volta Lake, that sustains jobs and provides nutrition, and ports on the Volta Lake that reduce our transportation costs by up to 80%. This is how we unlock the full value of inland Ghana and reconnect with our Sahelian neighbors.
Now, President Mahama also unveiled a series of sub-programs aimed at transforming Ghana's economic structure and reducing over-dependence on exports. We'll get the details of the sub-program soon, but first, my colleague Stephen Mensah has been speaking to some Ghanaians to gauge their thoughts on the policy's feasibility and potential challenges.
So many people need employment, so many people need the chance to do, and it brings also competitiveness, because in the public sector per se, where you close and you go, if they compare what you had been able to do within your 8 to 5 p.m. hours and what the night guy too had been able to do, meaning the same desk, you would have different shifts and it will be competitive, you know. They compare your output, your efficiencies, and maybe that could help some of the laziness out. It could push some of the laziness out.
Well, it's good news to us students because, you know, if it helps us get employed and get good jobs, then it's going to be very, very, very good initiative for us. Do you understand? So it's a welcomed stuff, actually.
It's a good policy. It will help those who. There are some people who can't work daytime. They would like to work at night, you know, and then at the daytime relax. So at night there's also a job for them, which also boosts the economy.
Yeah, I sell shoes, phones, and then I do Momo as well. Oh, it's a good idea because when you work the whole day, I've been paying a little. So within 24 hours, you know that maybe when I go to job, I can get this. You can go and then you close early, then you continue with your work that you do. Well.
Before any policy introduction, there must be a thorough stakeholder consultation. You understand? But in this sense, there hasn't been any thorough consultation. So the stakeholders and other things coming together to bring their policy and other things so that it will benefit from it. I don't think it is going to be feasible because of lack of that.
Still on the 24-hour economy, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, says for the 24-hour economy to be fully effective, the government must ensure there is a strategic consultation of stakeholders. He believes the policy should be followed out in phases.
The thing that we need to look at is we travel a lot and then we see other economies. We see how they grew. The time is come. We are lagging behind. There's so much opportunities in there. So therefore, if there is an opportunity for us to have access to energy, access to good roads, access to what we call other utilities infrastructure, why not? The private sector will take advantage. Not the country entirely, but we can start piloting from some of the major cities and then spread across. And I believe we're good to go. If that happens, I'm telling you, a lot of things, the prices and what have you, will come down a little bit. And this, what do you call it, price hikes and what have you, will be a thing of the past. We are private sector players. We have to partner government to chart that particular course.
Well, it's a good time to do a breakdown of the 8 thematic areas captured in the 24-hour economy policy. And my colleague Isaac Kofi Ajay joins me in studio with more on that. Kofi, it's good to always have you in there. You make it very easy and simple.
Good to be here too, Emefa.
What do you have?
Well, so the 24-hour economy, as we know, is not going to be just shift system. According to the president, it's going to run on 8 pillars. So there will be 8 pillars of the 24-hour economy. And I mean, when it all began, we all saw that it's going to be a shift system where somebody works, and it's part of the system. But it's not just that. It's a structural, program that is expected to solve some of the problems of our economy. And we understand even the nomenclature has actually changed from what we saw in the 2024, manifesto of the NDC. The program is now called the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development, program. And so it tells you how important the export aspect is, where we have to produce to export to gain forex to support the city. Now, I want to take you through the 8 pillars under the 24-hour economy. And we have, for the first one, Grow 24. Now, this Grow 24 is going to focus on the agri sector, and according to the president, this is expected to really focus on irrigation and then also to make Ghana one of the food baskets, especially looking at the Volta Basin, where if you look at the map of the country right now, we used to have food baskets used to be the western and middle belt of the country. But now because of Galamsey and other activities, we all know what is going on. Today, there's been inflation released, and we've all seen that 11 regions have higher inflation than the national average, including, the Ashanti region and even upper east and upper west regions, where inflation is now above about 32%. Now, the president sees the Volta Basin being very free, illegal mining free, Galamsey free basin. It also has the Volta Lake and the Volta River for easy transportation. And this is why the Volta Basin has been chosen, not just rural areas, but there will be the other part, which is called the Shipon. That will be the urban smart farming, all expected to boost agriculture and break down inflation. But it's important to also put across that even the logo of the 24-hour economy has undergone some changes. So you can see the new logo that was launched by the president today when he actually kickstart the program. Now we have the Make 24, which is going to focus on manufacturing. Very important. This is the reason why he spoke about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's, ideas and vision. He says that Make 24 is going to position Ghana as West Africa's factory, right? And if you're going to do that, then they are going to focus on 50 new industrial parks nationwide, which is expected to drive the Make 24, aspect of the 24-hour economy, which will focus on infrastructure. Now, which will focus on, manufacturing. Infrastructure side will be called Build 24, focusing on infrastructure. Now, this is very important, where it tackles the energy sector, road transport, industrial zones, all will be put together for the Build 24, aspect of the 24-hour economy. 8 pillars.
If you look at the fifth one, it says Show 24, creative economy and tourism. Now you know that if you take away gold, cocoa, and possibly oil, our creative sector or the tourism sector earns about $3 billion every year. That is what the tourism sector brings in almost every year. And their projection that this year we could reach some $4 billion, and it could actually contribute more than 5% to the country's GDP. And this is why the Show 24 to President Mahama is very important. You also have the Connect 24, logistics and market access, very important. And the reason why you're seeing the Volta Lake and the Volta River being chosen is that if you look at the current road connection we have in the country, it's so costly to put up roads. If you want to put out just 1 kilometer of asphalted road, you know how much it will cost you. But on the Volta Road, you don't need any asphalt. All you need is the systems and logistics for transportation. And the president said this is going to be the key access point for value chain and also to connect various parts of the countries. And also for post-harvest losses, we are going to focus on that and possibly use the Volta River and the lake as the main, connecting point. That's what the Connect 24 is expected to do. You have the Fund 24, financing, very important. And it will be interesting to know that if you decide to register or possibly qualify for the 24-hour economy, and you possibly are running a 3-shift system, the system says that you are supposed to enjoy some 50% cut in terms of your corporate income tax. But for me, that's very important. If you operate on a 2-shift, 25% cut in your corporate income tax. We all know how much corporate income tax costs. But another leg to this part of the financing is that already this year, government is hoping to raise some 190 billion Ghana cedis from tax revenue. It's supposed to contribute about 84% to the entire revenue and grants that we expected to get this year. What if we need to really look at the systems we put in place so that companies will not say they operate three shift system, meanwhile they just operate one and they are enjoying corporate income tax cuts, and that possibly could affect revenue of the government. There is also the Goal 24, very important. This aspect talks about government itself and its agencies, where based on the capacity of some of these MMDAs, you can possibly decide to run a 24. It's not compulsory. It's not like government is going to push all MMDAs and agencies to run 24. It's based on capacity. Are you able to run 24? And is it necessary to run 24-hour? Very important there. There is also this aspect that for us is very important. If you are running a 24-hour economy, what will really push that 24-hour economy will be the hinge on which the 24-hour economy will run is the energy sector. And MFA, we've spoken about this a number of times.
Absolutely.
Already, the finance minister said 2024 we had to pay $1.46 billion as subsidies to the power sector. And if we continue to do business as usual, we could be paying $2.23 billion in energy sector shortfalls. It's because of this, that's why the government has introduced and is hoping to implement on the 16th of July, the 1 cedi additional levy on the export price of fuel, and then also PRC deciding to take 27% of the fuel cost, factoring that into the tariff adjustment, factors. Many have said that, look, government sounds really prepared because one, it made sure that the cedi was stable. It made sure that Bank of Ghana was getting inflows through the gold for oil deal, remittance tightening, government itself not spending so much. Because of that, inflation is down. And because of the windfalls we are enjoying at the pumps, we've seen transport fares coming down. We've seen inflation for last month, 13.7%, mainly driven by transport. And for the first time in a long time, we are seeing transport sector actually recording a deflation of 8.5%. Many have said that based on these factors, it looks like government sounds prepared. It has actually put in place all the major factors, make sure that all the major economic indicators are actually on a good trajectory before running the 24-hour economy. Because, mind you, if you have your cedi depreciating, your energy sector will find itself in big trouble. You will not be able to spend or to buy fuel to power the thermal plant, because currently about 70% of the country's energy mix comes from thermal. And these are the independent power producers that ECG pays close to about $50 million in terms of the IPPs and fuel supply. Now, if government has a dedicated fund or funding source to actually buy fuel to keep the light on, that will mean that we possibly will have a reliable power system to actually support the 24-hour economy. But don't forget that the IMF and the World Bank have projected that the energy sector shortfalls, if you look at between 2023 and 2026, could hit some $8.94 billion, That is the cumulative figure we see there. And government's already showing signs of saying that, look, we need the light on, but we need to do what we call burden sharing. So we will pay part of the subsidy, but the part must be paid through the export price of fuel, the levy that they are going to start the implementation on the 16th of July. PRC also has to pay. So they are also taking that 27% and pushing it on consumers. That's why you saw the tariff going up by 2.45%. And cumulatively this year, tariff has actually gone up by some 17%. All of this with the hopes that the energy sector problems will be solved, because government and the president himself is aware that without a reliable power supply, without a reliable energy sector, there can't be a 24-hour economy. So the good news is that it's been expanded. It's now 24-hour economy and accelerated export development plan. And then also, if you're a business person and you're watching an SME, the government says that the 24-hour economy is for you. If you decide to go on a 3-shift system, you could enjoy 50% cut in corporate income tax and a 24% tax cut when you're doing a 2-shift system. So, MFA, 8 pillars is what government is hoping that the 24-hour economy will run on. It's not just some people going, the shift system. It's bigger. It's actually a structural change to the country's economy. And the president is hoping that this could be that trump card that will change almost everything in terms of where they want to go, the big push all falling under the 24-hour economy. And then also the big reset that the government wants to do all will start when we see the 24-hour economy actually starting in full and possibly businesses enjoying the windfalls that this system or this policy will come with.
Mr. J, thank you so much for bringing clarity to this. So 8 thematic areas, simple: grow, make, build, show, connect, fund, aspire, and go. We get to understand all of this, but joining me in studio from the 24-Hour Economy Secretariat is the Head of Innovative Finance, Partnership and Markets, Dr. Ishmael Ni Amanadodu. And also in studio is Deputy Ranking Member, Economy and Development Committee, Foucault Kodwa Chedebois. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today on The Pulse. I'll start with you. Which one would you like, Mr. Foucault, Mr. Chedebois? Which one is easy for you?
The surname is Foucault.
Okay, so Mr. Foucault then. Okay, thank you for joining us. Let's start with you, because I'm certain that you have studied this document, the policy, very much, especially in Parliament. You have deliberated and all of that. For you as a committee, what do you make of it, the policy in its entirety, before we tear it apart?
Okay, thank you, MFI. Firstly, I had to clarify that we, as a committee or Parliament generally, we haven't formally received any policy document now. So I can't, respond positively to that.
Okay.
Any document. But, we've heard about 24-hour economy right from the campaign period of the current president and all that. So we have ideas about what it's about, but we haven't received formally a document on it as of now.
Okay.
Probably it will be following the launch.
Okay. Well, that's a good clarity. But on the outlook, what you have heard, what you have seen, and these thematic areas that Kofi, my colleague, just had the breakdown with for us, your assessment of it generally.
Yeah. Thank you, MFA. So the model of working in 24-hour shift or 24-hour economy, I would say it's not new. It's not anything novel. It's been around for years, and in fact, it started way back during the Industrial Revolution. That is when it started, because there were demands for certain products, certain services, and they had to keep machinery working 24 hours, and that is where it started. I mean, those times there were no labor laws as we have it now. People were working, throughout the day. They were not even having shift systems. So the health of people suffered and so on and so forth. And then we've moved on very well, gotten to a point where a lot of these are even automated. So you have automated systems helping us to achieve this 24-hour shift today. Some have even moved further, such a way that they are improving upon the rest periods and so on and so forth, because we've come to the realization that human health is so important. So, a lot have been done, and we've come far from the Industrial Revolution period. The questions that you ask, one of the first questions that you ask is, really, is there a relationship between producing around the clock and productivity or economic growth? Is there a relationship between the two? Yeah, you may say yes, there might be a relationship. Maybe that is why it's been sustained all this while, from the 18th century to now. Maybe there is a relationship. But then you ask yourself again that indeed, if there is a relationship between producing around the clock, i.e. producing more, leading to economic growth. And mind you, when we say leading to economic growth, it means the entities, the businesses within the economy themselves would also do better if they employ this 24-hour work system. So you ask yourself, why haven't businesses on their own really gone into working around the clock? Why do we have to launch a program to have it coming into being? Why haven't they gone into it? Because businesses are rational. Okay, businesses are rational. And they where there's an opportunity, they go in for the kill. They want to make profits. So if it was about producing more, working around the clock to make profit, which in turn will push the economy, then why haven't they gone in? That is a big question. So then it tells you that yes, there might be a relationship, or there's a relationship between producing more and leading to profitability of businesses, leading to economic growth. But businesses in Ghana haven't gone in. And that is a big question for businesses that are rational on their own. So what then tells you is that there must be some moderating factors which are not in place. If those factors were in place, I'm sure businesses will go in to make profits, and this will impact on the economy correspondingly.
Okay.
So ask yourself, what are some of these moderating factors that should be in place for such a relationship to really work, for a 24-hour shift to work? Firstly, if you're a rational business, would you just go into producing because you want to produce more, because you want to produce around the clock, because you want to offer more services? So daytime, nighttime, you are producing, you are offering services. I'm sure you would do this because there is a need. There's demand for the products that you are producing or for the services that you are offering. This is what started this whole 24-hour shift. Like I said, from the 18th century, it was based on demand, products that were demanded. So there were orders waiting, and you had to add extra hours to be able to produce to meet the needs. So if businesses haven't gone in, and we had to come in to launch, then probably the demand is not there. That is number one, moderating factor. Now you look at producing around the clock, 24 hours. It means, and I love what the presentation that was done, it means you would need a lot of energy commitment, because now you are going to have more, like, if you want to put it like nightlife, similar to what happens during the day. And even during the day, we struggle with energy, electrical energy. we don't have the capacity now. So during the day, we are not able to even support industry. Now we are adding night time. So as a moderating factor, energy is key. So it is not the day that you are launching it, that you are telling us how you intend boosting our energy capacity. It should be there.
Okay.
When you are launching it, should be a tick.
Okay.
Now, other moderating factors, because I've said that the opportunity we assume is there. Businesses haven't gone in, so there are limiting factors, and these moderating factors are key. Transportation. Let's ask ourselves, if people are going to work during the night shifts, it means somebody wakes up, maybe whatever period is going to work during hours that are quiet, that you need dedicated transportation to be available for people to go to, to work. Do we have this available? If you started, now we've launched. So let's say we are starting. Businesses, I said earlier on, are rational. So do you think our church owners or the drivers or whatever will put these vehicles out because we've launched this program, so they are coming to work? No. If the business, if it's booming, if there's a lot of passengers that they will have the opportunity to carry from point A to B and so on and so forth, they'll go in. But if not, and it's really thin, they would not, because they will make a loss if they work it out. So have we made any arrangement for people that would want to even take advantage and go in to work around the clock, especially during the night?
Okay.
If it's not in place, how do people go to,
because I want Dr. Amano-Dodo to at least respond, and I can see that there may be more moderating factors. Maybe we'll start with 3 that you have just outlined, and so would continue. And so, Dr. Amano-Dodo, so apart from him, you may have heard economists, people say that really, where is the demand, and what exactly are we supplying? Together with these moderating factors that he has just mentioned, how do you respond to these concerns, first of all, before we even go into the thematic areas?
Thank you very much, MFR, and thank you, Honourable Member of Parliament. It's a delight to be here. First of all, I just want to thank media and thank all Ghanaians, and also thank His Excellency the President for this vision, and also to give us the opportunity that we can serve the country in this momentous occasion at the epochal moment of our country, to come out with such a blueprint for economic transformation agenda. I want to respond directly to some of the points that my brother raised, and these points are very pertinent questions. But before I respond, I want to preface it with this point, that before we came out with the 24-hour economy program, we have spoken to more than 350 to 400 different categories of people: producers, aggregators, processors, people in industry, trade union, all types of people. We also went to Parliament and actually presented to them, in which part of the Parliament side did not turn up. We, 2 days ago, presented this formally to the Speaker of Parliament, and there were subcommittees that are related to the 24-hour economy through the wisdom of Parliament that the Speaker actually called them into it. So we presented it formally, and this. So though we have not had a parliamentary debate on it, which the Speaker said he's going to bring to the floor, I was hoping that most members of Parliament would have been socialized with this. Also,
MFA, could I clarify a point on that? Just, I'm not interjecting.
Right.
Because, I'm a deputy ranking for the Economy and Development Subcommittee. Right. So if such a document had been tendered to Parliament.
To the Speaker of Parliament?
Yeah, to the Speaker. It goes to the Speaker. He's like the headmaster. he would have to now relay it to...
Yeah, so I'm saying that...
But so I haven't...
I'm actually reinforcing...
So for their side... So for their side, they may have done what they have to do, because then they give it to the speaker, right? They won't give it to the individuals.
A process.
Okay.
I think let's spend a lot of our time
confirming that
really not on administrative.
On the committee that I said, which will be the key one to receive such a document. We haven't received.
Yeah. That's
just to clarify.
That's fine. So I think I'm reinforcing your.
That's fine.
That. We were hoping that members of parliament will socialize themselves. But also, if you are a constituent of parliament, you represent the constituency. This is a game in town. You would actually make the effort to read, to try to understand it, because you have to also be able to engage your constituent. That's just my personal opinion. And some members of parliament have actually done that. Some have asked, you send a document to them. Some have asked further questions because they want to engage their constituents for the purposes of making sure that whatever is coming, their constituent could also benefit from it.
Okay.
So I think it's a very fair point. But let's talk about the point
he made.
He made demand.
Yes.
And these are rational points because we're hoping that Ghanaians are also very rational. Now, when you have a country where we import $350 million a year of offals and gallbladders and intestines of animals, all right? And this will translate to about $3.5 billion of import value that you only eat in your chop bars. And you tell me that there's no demand for that production? That's not right. Your food bill, $2.4 billion a year. That's food bill. So if you are then to substitute the food import bill of 2.5 billion, which is the market that you have, and you were to substitute it with your local production, then of course the market and the demand is there. The reason most of these production have not happened is because we have an economy that is so structured that we always have to import what we need from the economy. It's a deformed economy. It is not the fault of any government. This is a deformed economy that truly we imported from the colonial times. And this structure of economy that I've just described is one that you have to always export raw materials and import finished goods to satisfy your demand for goods and services. So, and this economy, it pertains all over Africa. So what we are trying to do with the 24-hour economy is to really deconstruct and reconstruct a new type of economy, one that helps us to be self-reliant, one that helps us to manage ourselves against the vulnerabilities of external shocks, one that helps us to be reliant on our own production so that we'll be able to meet our food security needs and have surpluses that industry can take as raw materials, process, and also export.
Let's stay on this point a little bit. I have a little bit of deja vu. Why? Because when we're hearing one district, one factory, I nearly would hear terminologies like this, like we want self-sufficiency, we want to create employment, we want to decentralize employment. I mean, it nearly sounds like something that I have
But what
heard.
you didn't hear is an integrated value chain approach to all of this.
Okay.
What you didn't also hear is opening up a new economic corridor, which will open up the entire economic system. What is so different from 1D1F? And I'm not saying that 1D1F does not have a great ethos around it. I mean, we looked at it. We looked at the 24-hour economy document is a national thing. It is really something that reflects the aspirations of Ghanaians. So we've looked at what have worked well with 1D1F, what have not worked well, how do we improve it? We looked at all the things, presidential special initiatives that President Kufuor brought. We looked at all types of different Operation Feed Yourself, the Kwame Nkrumah economic policies and all that. We had a comprehensive look to say, okay, how do we construct a new economic system that works for us? Now, the difference between 1D1F is that we're looking at the whole structure of the economy and looking at the integrated value chain across sectors: agriculture, manufacturing, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and then the creative arts. And central to this is how you transform your production, not just with technology, but you transform it in ways that it conforms to standards that enable industry to change their behavior so that they can be able to export and meet. To export, you have to meet international standards.
For example, GROW, it says that it seeks to re-engineer food and feed systems by revitalizing critical strategic agricultural value chain with the objective of ensuring input self-reliance, food security. And I'm going to just fast forward and say, Eden Volta, which positions the Volta Basin as a future breadbasket in West Africa. So I see that you say that the 24-hour economy is a national approach. But I see that Eden Volta, that's a Volta region. It means that you're still doing from a bottom-up approach, is it not?
No, this is an entry point, it's a flagship. So everything is good. So we are going to establish agroecological parks all across the country. The Eden Volta approach is the entry point to open up the rest.
I asked this question because
you must understand that when you have any strategy, you must have an entry point where you start with, you sequence through it.
Could we not have used the one district, one factory as still a conduit?
Well,
why did we have to discontinue?
Well, the difference here is that before you actually meet these production needs, one, it must be a scientific exercise, which we've done, to be able to determine how much maize we need for ourselves and for industry within the current industry capacity to manufacture and export, how much soybean we need. We worked all through all the value chain analysis, and these analysis exist. Some of them, they are ones that we're just operationalizing. The other thing is also, in order to be able to transform your production, you need to organize the production. All right? So the agroecological parks is so chosen as the basis for organizing the production in order to be able to address things like R&D in production, technology in production, using GIS, remote sensing, precision agriculture, using smart agriculture, making sure that your production conforms to environmental social governance norms, conforms to certification standards, conforms to ISO standards. You don't just, and then you also have to make sure that you have the right seed that will generate the kind of output you are looking for. So seed selection. So and then you have to, the difference is with one-to-one is you have to strategically invest in your connectivity to markets. Making sure that you address some of these post-harvest losses.
We'll talk about investment shortly, but still back on the
this is all part of, I'm telling you the difference between 1D1F, and I'm saying that it is not that 1D1F is in itself is not an important or a good initiative. We have looked at what worked, what didn't work. And so what we are bringing today with the 24-hour economy, it's one that is based on lessons learned from all of these initiatives and so packaged in such a way that we'll be able to turn the country around through an economy that we are developing.
Let's address the big elephant in the room, energy sector.
Yes.
Which is not just the concern of Mr. Foko here. Yes. Of course, the whole country. Everybody is asking. Of course, you need energy sector, part of the infrastructure to run this.
You do.
What's the answer to this?
All right. So energy is arguably one of the important factors to this. We are trying to bring in investors to invest in agroecological parks and to invest in our industrial parks through SPVs that we are creating. We are looking at all types of financing to be able to do this. Mind you, investors will not, like you say, using the rationality of economics. Investors will not come into something where they cannot see. They cannot predict the income. They cannot predict some of the infrastructures that you have around investment. So energy is important. We know that 4.3 megawatts of so, million megawatts is what is needed, is what we have. We need about a million more. Now, this is how we are addressing the energy needs. We are looking at embedded solutions within agroecological parks and industrial parks. And embedded solutions will be energy development, waste to energy, biogas, solar energy. And these are all going to be capex investments that that investors who are really interested in, whether in industrial parks that's producing garments and textiles or agroecological by looking at agro processing are all going to bring on board. So we are talking to a wide range of energy related investors who are coming on board as strategic partners to provide this type of energy. So the energy is not one that is using the base load of what we have already. We are going to produce new energy.
Okay.
And we're using this means to unleash the potential of new types of renewable energy that the country can have. Listen, we are at a point where there's a sheer volume of investment destination that people are looking for. Africa has 1.3 trillion market economy in West Africa alone. Not to talk about the entire Africa through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. You have the age on your side, 18 to 25-year-old, for more than 70% of our population. You need to be able to invest in these human resources to transform an economy, and the money is coming.
It'll be a good, well, that's a very, very interesting way to land. The money is coming. Well, so Mr. Foko, how do you respond to this? Does it sound feasible, viable to you at all?
Yeah. Thank you, MFA. And you know, Dr. Dodu, I mean, you've made a number of points. I picked some. The first point you made was that, okay, I spoke about demand. You know, I mean, if there was effective demand. And he said, yeah, we import a lot. We import a lot of rice. We import a lot of poultry and so on and so forth. So it means we can produce to replace these imports. It's plausible. It makes sense a lot.
It's practical.
That's what I'm saying. It's plausible. So it makes sense a lot. But are you telling Ghana that as we speak now, we can't meet our rice demands, we can't meet our poultry demands because we've exhausted the daytime capacity and we have to now grow rice during the night?
No.
Is that what we... No, I'm coming. Because you're saying... I'm coming. You're saying there's 24... let me... I didn't talk at all. When you...
Okay, let's allow him to make the point.
What you're saying is... you asked about the question of demand, and you said, yes, we import a lot. We import poultry, we import rice. So this is going to boost our capacity. So we replace these imports, okay? So what it means, as of now, what is being touted is that we're going to do 24-hour shifts. And we're already doing daytime working, so it's about the nights. So what it means is that, yeah, when we grow rice in the night, we'll have enough rice, we'll not import.
Is that what it means? Is that what it means?
By implication.
No, Mr. Foko, that is not by implication.
So if we
well, he's more, here. Let's have him clarify.
Because it's not intellectually sound.
No, it is not.
To say that by implication that you're asking
because you said if we go by the 24-hour economy, we're going to replace what we import. And he gave example.
We talk about markets.
Yeah, markets.
So let's hang on to the market. If you import $2.5 billion worth of food, including $350 million of gallbladders,
it means that in Ghana you don't have that capacity. Is that what it means?
The market is there.
In your findings, is that what it means?
Let me establish my point.
Let him establish.
Okay.
So you talk about gallbladder, whatever. It's protein. So protein that we import. So now we are not running a 24-hour economy. So by implication and by extension, if we run a 24-hour economy, we can produce more rice. We can produce more. Otherwise, how do we replace the imports?
Okay, so please let me come
because MFR, you asked about the difference between 24-hour shift or 24-hour economy and 1D, 1F. Because if it is about producing more to replace imports or to export more, increasing productivity in areas where naturally we have the capacity, then it's the same as 1D, 1F. So if it is about economic transformation, the NDC's manifesto and all that we have heard, there are other programs for economic transformation. So now it's the 24-hour economy replacing everything and becoming the giant that now, is it about economic transformation, but now we are downplaying on the 24-hour economy? No, because 24-hour economy means you are producing around the clock, 24 hours. That is what it means. Otherwise, then what you are doing is not different from the blueprint of changing our economy, which is what the 1D1F, sought to do.
Okay.
Well, because look,
I think the point. I think your point. You've made the point.
You had HS to roll out.
I'm coming.
You want to land on the point for me?
I want to
please land on the. Okay, end on the point for me.
So if it's about that, producing more to transform the economy, it's about value addition. Now we process about 50% of the cocoa that we produce. We produce about 40,000 metric tons of cashew. How much do we process? Just about 5% or so. So if it's about increasing the processing capacity, getting a lot of the value chains done here, creating jobs along the value chain and all those, then that is exactly what.
So do I hear you say that, Mr. Before I come to you, do I hear you say that everything they're saying they would do in the 24-hour economy policy could really have been achieved without having to introduce the 24-hour? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I hear you saying?
Phase 2 of
okay,
1D1F.
Fine. He's here. You're here.
That works.
Do you get the crux of what he is trying to bring our attention to?
I struggle to really understand his philosophy and the essence of what he's trying to say. I've been trying to really understand it. Because to start first to say, well, if you stop producing in the night, you decide to grow in the night, then you're actually increasing productivity of rice. Then it begs the
I like to think it's just an example for us to.
It begs intellectual understanding of the whole essence of productivity on land. You cannot. That is not. So I want to really clarify that.
Okay.
This is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that if people sleep and you wake up at night and you start growing, then you're actually improving.
What are we saying?
What I'm saying. What the 24-hour economy vision is about creating an economy that is catalyzing industrialization, export, and creating jobs. And an economy that works for everyone, every hour of the time. And it looks at the productive sectors of the economy. All right, so we are talking about inclusive economy and looking at the key productive sectors, and not just in agriculture. West Africa spent out $20.7 billion of medicinal imports. Ghana spends quite a chunk of it. Some of the medicines we have the pharmaceutical sector that can produce them. They can reduce the cost and they can make it accessible for us, the vaccines and all sort of things. Now, so it is about looking at the entire spectrum of our productive economy: agriculture, pharmaceuticals, garments, textiles, creative arts, and putting at the center of it the capacity of Ghanaians to be able to function in this modern economy with mindset change. That's the Aspire 24, which we didn't talk about. Mindset change, with capacity, with getting technology and skills to be able to drive this economy. So it's very whole. It's looking at the whole system.
Doug, let's talk about funding.
Yeah. So hold on. So we need to really clarify that.
I think people hear what they want to hear. They hear him, they hear you as well.
Yeah, but it's extremely important that we need to know.
That clarity has been made. Let's talk about funding.
Yes.
It's your 400 billion for the 4 billion for the 5 years, and then you're making available $300 million as seed funding. I can quite hear some economists say that looking at how much you need, that seed fund is woefully inadequate. Confirm to me if that is true or that is not true. If it's inadequate, sustainability of the funding, how do you intend to really practicable way of funding this policy and the sustainability of it?
So first of all, it will be useful for us to understand the funding architecture. The seed funding component is really a viability funding, and what it shows government's commitment to this whole 24-hour economy. Now, you understand that the 24-hour economy is going to be driven by private sector. Capital is in private sector. Technology is in private sector. Private sector sees opportunities. As he said, they are rational. They latch onto it. All right? They see you have a GDP of 80 billion per year. 80% of it is by import. and you want to replace that import with manufacturing here, not just to feed your GDP, but to feed the GDP of other West African countries, which is over close to $1 trillion of market economy. It's an interesting way for private sector to really begin to enter here. Now, what private sector will need is predictability, that the bureaucracy is actually addressed, and these are things that we need to work on, the energy predictability and sustainability and all of that. So those are the things that we government need to invest in. So there are two types of funding we're looking at. We're looking at the infrastructure financing. Our strategic partner in this is Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund. And then we're looking at SME enterprise financing, which is the Development Bank of Ghana, is our strategic partner. Now, if you allow me, with 5 minutes, I'll explain this funding architecture. So,
in 2 minutes.
All right. It's important.
Apologies. We'll keep chewing on this subsequently. So
okay.
Yeah.
So for infrastructure financing, we have special purpose vehicles that have been created with concessions. And private sector would really get into this purpose vehicle through debt financing, through blend financing, through all types of innovative financing. Now, enterprise financing, what we are doing is we're getting a concessional rate of financing.
What does that mean?
That it is not the market, it's not the rate you see on the market.
Okay.
It's below 10%, with a moratorium to provide a patient capital for the SMEs to be able to develop their equity and become prosperous and be able to then pay back. But the reason we are different in terms of the way which we learn from is to, if you organize production along ecological zone and use cooperatives and associations and so on, you'll be able to de-risk the investment. So there is an insurance to de-risk the investment, and at the same time to ensure that this investment is coming at a rate that the SMEs can actually make profit of and to pay back. And private sector are coming. We have a lot of international finance institutions that we are working with. We have strategic relations with all of them, both here in Africa, operating in Africa, in the Gulf states, and different other places.
What are the genuine challenges you anticipate? And I ask this because when the president was speaking during the launch, he says that despite the challenges, yes, I like to think that you have sat down and anticipated the challenges. What are the genuine challenges?
Well, one of the major challenges we have is the attitude of Ghanaians, the mindset. We need to really change our mindset. We need to be very entrepreneurial. We also need to know that this is actually not, if you go and take a loan, for example, it is not an abiding seeker. It's actually you as an entrepreneur, you get in this, you have patient capital, you have some kind of services that is supporting you to be able to structure your financial fiduciary system in order to be able to become profitable and pay back. And you have connectivity of your production, offtake, and someone is there paying you. So it's a whole attitude change and mindset change. And that, for me, is one of the biggest things that we face.
I think it will be a good time to have Mr. Foko take the last bite on this.
Mm. Okay, yeah, MFA, thank you. So the issue of financing, okay. There are finance houses that are always ready to provide financing. In Ghana alone, we have about 23 or so commercial banks, and there are other financing institutions, okay? If you have a model that works, a model that is reasonably going to create the necessary cash flows for you, finance houses will beg you to give you money. They'll beg you. So if you're struggling to now raise some money to run a model, it tells you there's a problem. Okay, so that's where I started from.
So we are not struggling.
I actually didn't hear him say they are struggling.
No, you are not
I'm
struggling.
never struggling.
Okay, the money
are
there.
Offering finance to people at 35%.
I'm okay.
It doesn't make any big sense.
Doesn't make sense. The program has no struggles with money.
We just launched the program.
No, I understand. You are not struggling.
We have never said we're struggling.
It's a giving.
It's not a problem. So they haven't said they're struggling yet.
Let me finish my point.
No, we haven't said we are struggling.
If something is not an issue, then you don't even talk about it. If there was an unlimited amount of money, then we won't even debate it here. Whatever you are going to use, debating. Please, let me, whatever you are going to use,
let's hear him.
Whatever you are going to use to run this program is not from somebody's pocket. This is money for the country. This is budget approved by, that has to be approved or approved by, approved by Parliament. If private people are going to come in, that is where I'm coming to, that a model that makes sense, private people on their own will jump on board. If they realize that there's demand for it, effective demand for this program, that they are going to produce more, i.e. producing around the clock, and there are off-takers, why not? Funding would not be a problem. So if we start talking about funding, if we realize that funding will be, one of the issues, then it tells you we have to ask ourselves the questions that I started with again. But it's telling me there's no funding problem. But I'm coming. Whatever that we are going to use from the government side, if it's not already approved in the March budget, it's going to come. And Parliament will scrutinize it.
Fantastic.
So whatever we're doing, it should make economic sense.
Correct.
He's talking about patient capital. Okay, think about it. You're looking for some money that will be there for years. Use it. Investors, again, I'm using the same word. Investors are rational. They don't just go throwing their monies. And in Ghana here, the commercial banks, people say, they lend for short term. Yes, they are commercial banks. If you're placing your money with them, how long do you place with them? You're placing with them for 91 days, 180 days, maximum some 1 year. And you want them to lend it to you for whatever years. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't make sense. So they can lend to you for a limited period, some 2 years, 3 years. They want it back. That is commercial banking. We don't have much of development banks here. The NPP started a development bank, which is there. It could be expanded, and development banks can give you the patient capital that you spoke about.
Development bank.
Right. Gentlemen, I think that
the point that I'm making, which I want to establish, is that if a model makes sense,
you will invest in
money. You will invest in it. At you.
Okay, I think that's clear. In 30 seconds, you wanted to just say something.
He just said that the model makes sense.
So then,
he himself is going to invest in it.
All right,
thank you very much,
gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today on the poll. It will definitely not come. Thank you.
So
we were joined in studio by Deputy Ranking Member, Economy and Development Committee for Kodwa Chunibwan as well, Dr. Ishmael Ni Amano Dodu. He is the Head of Innovative Finance Partnership and Market at the 24-Hour Economy Secretariat. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today on The Pulse. Please stay with us. There's more on the show. You're watching The Pulse, and now all set for the Electoral Commission to rerun elections in 19 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency on Friday, July 11. In a renewed effort to resolve the lingering parliamentary dispute in the Greater Accra region. And the EC says the move is aimed at ending the impasse over the constituency's results, especially parliamentary, now which has left residents without a member of parliament. In a statement issued on Wednesday, July 2, the Commission confirmed it had engaged representatives of the two main political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, to deliberate on the way forward. And I'm just going to be reading to you the content of the statement on your screen. It says that as part of its commitment to resolve the impasse regarding the Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary election, the Electoral Commission yesterday, Tuesday, 1st July 2025, met with the representatives of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and the New Patriotic Party. And it says the meeting, which was a follow-up to an earlier meeting held on Thursday, 12 June 2025, provided both parties the opportunities to brief the Commission on a new development regarding the said constituency. The parties informed the Commission that their positions put forward at the last meeting remained unchanged. And continues to say the NDC held the view that the election should be rerun in 37 polling stations because scanned pink sheets from 37 polling stations, which were used to collate the results, were provided by the NPP, while the NPP was of the view that the results from the 3 outstanding polling stations be collated and a winner declared, since the NDC agents had verified and confirmed the scanned polling station results they presented. It's important for the public to understand that the issue in contention has to do with the fact that 37 pink sheets provided by the NPP and used to collate the results were scanned copies. The public may recall that political party supporters besieged our collation center and destroyed a number of pink sheets for the Ablekuma North constituency election during the collation of results following the 7th general elections, December 7 general elections. After extensive deliberations, the commission informed the political parties that it will proceed to rerun the election in 19 out of the 37 polling stations. The commission arrived at the decision to rerun the election in the underlisted polling stations because the 19 scanned polling station results used for the collation, though approved by agents of both political parties, were not verified by the presiding officers responsible for those polling stations. It is instructive to note that the commission was able to secure the presiding officer's verification and confirmation for 18 scanned polling station results. Agents of both parties also approved same. A rerun will therefore not be held in those polling stations. The election will be held on Friday, 11th July 2025. We count on the general public, the Ghana Police Service, to provide the needed security to ensure a safe environment for the conduct of the election. Now, it'll be a good time to hear from the key stakeholders in this matter, the NDC and the NPP. Now, joining me on Zoom is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, and his opposite member of the NDC, Mr. Gbande. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on the pulse again today. So you have seen, I like to think that you're both getting ready for this election. Am I correct? Maybe let me start with Haruna.
Election. So we are not aware of any election.
Haruna, I'm sorry if you can speak a bit.
That there's no any election from where we stand. Same was set for Domiko Abenya. Somewhere in December, that election never came on. Even they went ahead and used tally sheets to collate that results. We have official communications from the Electoral Commission, of which we are holding on to that. Never in any of their official communication to us and Parliament, which is the official, which is a place of record, that the Electoral Commission has indicated their inability to collate the 3 polling stations. They indicated that they needed security. How can the creation of 3 polling stations be multiplied and increased to a 7 again? You see, I hold a letter. We wrote a letter on the 3rd, and person at Ablekuma North Parliament with us, and that was happening. They responded to us. They responded to us on the 7th June, and in their response, they indicated that after the ruling on the 4th January, they proceeded to do a number of collations, which was done on the 5th and 8th. On the 5th of January, they did 17 polling stations. On the 5th of January, they did 6 polling stations. And on the 8th of January, they did 4 polling stations. So these were the account of which they have done. And if you put them together, and that's 34 polling stations. And the remaining polling stations were 37. So they indicated in their response to us, tentatively, all the legal collations that were done by the rulings of the courts. And then they also move ahead to tell us the efforts that they have done to complete the collation processes and what has happened because of insecurity and other matters. So they went on to tell us the current status of that particular collation system. They narrated all the incidents to us. And then, in their conclusion, they told us that the Electoral Commission is ready for the completion of the collation process for the Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary election results. However, we require the protection of the police to enable us complete the collation process and declare the parliamentary results for the Ablekuma North constituency. You also remember that on the 29th or so, it was Friday, that they went to Parliament. He was asked questions specifically on whether there is a court action that is restraining the Electoral Commission from proceeding to collate and declare. they indicated that it was because of security issues. And they said that they are ready if the security is provided for them to collate the 3 polling stations. So these are consistency in terms of the reportage. So for us to wake up, then we come for a meeting, you tell us that this, and that's why all the parties stood their positions. We know that the Electoral Commission has a record of which they have been able to collate. And I will tell you, the Dominico Abella, they were not pink sheets. That particular polling station, they went ahead. They declared a rerun of that particular polling station. So what has changed? They told Parliament that they are ready to declare. They are ready to collate and declare. And you just come and tell us that you are doing 19 polling stations. Where is it coming from? You think we are fools in this country? We're not going to accept it.
Right. So this communique from the Electoral Commission, you don't think supersedes or it's the most current one you should work with?
They made a statement, this same statement they made for Dominico Abenya. We never did the rerun. I hope you can remember that. So, if you go and check on My Joy Online, 28th of December, you carried a news story of them conducting a rerun.
So if I hear you, they have said it, but you think that they're just saying it, they will not follow through.
I am saying that if you check My Joy Online, 28th of December, you are a place of record too. They indicated their ability to conduct a rerun of some polling station or one polling station in Dominico Abenya. That never came on, but they went ahead and did a declaration.
Let's take to the Ablekuma North constituency.
The Electoral Commission's decision to do a rerun is bogus, and which we as a party will not accept it. The General Secretary will be doing a press conference tomorrow and will lay bare to the facts of the matter. These are legal matters, and I don't think that the Electoral Commission's decision can supersede the decision of the High Court.
Okay, so there's a document that's just showing on the screen now. Is this the official document or letter you're referring that you received?
Unfortunately, I'm speaking to you on phone. I'm not
okay.
To radio.
Okay. We'll share it with you for you to see, but it's dated 11th June and says that Ablekuma North Constituency Parliamentary Election Results Collation, where...
Yes, I forwarded it to your producer, so I believe that maybe that's what he's displaying.
Okay. Hang in there. Mustafa, if you can hear me, are you getting ready for the election? You've heard the NPP say that as far as they're concerned, there's no election, and they're citing a precedent that's happened in Domkwabenya. So they're asserting that this is just it's not going to happen.
Well, so good afternoon to yourself, our listeners, and my brother at the other side. Indeed, the same way we went to plead with the people of Ghana in December 2024 to give His Excellency John Dramani Mahama a chance. On any occasion, the NDC will rally around and go for an election, given that that election would be held within the laws of this country. We have the firm belief that the people of Ablekuma North voted massively for a credible candidate of the NDC, our sister Obeng. The NPP, on the other hand, tried to impose a rejected candidate who only knows how to twerk her waist, and you all have the videos to see.
What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, you saw on campaign platforms, their candidate only know how to twerk her waist.
How about we stick to the letter from the Electoral Commission now?
I'll come back to the letter. That this same candidate, when she was made an ambassador to a country, she was said to have been involved in visa racketeering. That is what the NPP is insisting on imposing on the good people of Ablekuma North, and they have rejected that candidate. That is why they want, and have always wanted, the Electoral Commission to create a new law outside CI 127, where an election, they want that election declared on the basis of their fictitious, produced, electronically transferred, scanned copies of pink sheet outside the laws of CI 127.
Mustafa, how do you respond to the concerns of Haruna, who says that this 11...
I will get there, but
it's my area of interest, particularly.
Haruna's argument have no place in law. It has no place in politics. indeed the NPP at this stage is afraid of going to an election because they know that the consensus call and agreement by the people of Ghana that the NPP represented, participated in corruption, mismanagement of this country, stealing from this country, shielding of political corrupt appointees, that will manifest in the 19 polling stations we are going to hold. So they are afraid to go for that election.
So you are happy with the elections? You're ready to go to the election?
We are not happy. It's a manifestation of the incompetence we have always spoken about as far as the Electoral Commission is concerned. That don't try to maneuver and manufacture a law when the law doesn't exist. The Electoral Commission knew that you can't introduce a new law besides CI 127, that uncarbonated pink sheets cannot be used in the collation of resource. They know that, so giving fidelity to it have always been what we called for. That look, it is not about the NDC, it's not about the NPP. Let's go back to an IPAC meeting, let us deliberate upon the law and do what the law requires, so that the people of Ablekuma North, they are Ghanaians. The people of Ablekuma North are Ghanaians. They deserve to have an MP of their choice. They have voted for Rabina Obeng. That must reflect in
this statement from the Electoral Commission. I hope that I've not lost you, Mr. Gbande. This statement from the Electoral Commission suggests that there is a form of meeting that involved both parties, and of course, IPAC will mean that other parties. But for now, the two of you are the most interested parties in this elections, and so there is a form of meeting that happened, and both parties insisted firmly on their position. And the Electoral Commission has got the power to take a certain decision and that's what they have done. So what kind of IPAC meeting again are you asking for?
Who is asking for the IPAC meeting?
Okay, if you're not asking, then please make the point.
No, what it is that in the past, we have always said that, and I remember we granted an interview on this matter where I told you that at the time, I also went to the police to meet with the IGP, with the NDC team. And we asked for us to go back as political parties and sit with the Electoral Commission and, look at what the law says and do what the law is required of all of us. And so if the Electoral Commission have suddenly agreed beyond the frivolous, useless walkout by the minority members of parliament to the IGP trying to invite the police into an illegality, beyond that, if today we have suddenly come to a point where we are giving fidelity to the law, the NDC is prepared. We are ready for any lawfully organized, transparently organized, credible elections in this country. The NDC is willing and prepared to go back to that constituency, Ablekuma North, and to preach to them and to let them understand that our candidate is a credible one. She is not on note to have been engaged in any criminality. She is someone who comes to them to campaign and willing to serve them. They should give her an opportunity to represent that constituency. And so, therefore, after the election, you will see that the NDC will win. Okay, the NPP on the other side are only lamenting because they tried to steal that election. It didn't work. They tried to manipulate the Electoral Commission. It didn't work. They tried to manipulate the police. It didn't work. They tried to use the minority in parliament to coerce the police. It didn't work. Okay. That is why we are back having this conversation, because the NPP is afraid.
Okay,
they are afraid to go for that election.
Stay with me, Haruna. And so what would you do then? Because there must be some progress at all costs. There must be representation in parliament for the people of Ablekuma North. And so what would the NPP do then?
You see the hypocrisy and dishonesty from the NDC. I refer you again to a news report on 30th December 2024. And, excuse me, it's one of your sister stations, 3 News. NDC rejects EC decision to rerun elections in Domiko-Abenya. I also refer you to a news report on 28th December 2024, Ghana Web. We don't need a rerun because the NDC won. And several others that I can put it out to you. I am telling you on authority that the NPP never runs away from elections. And if they can approbate and reprobate and say that they don't run away from elections, why were you afraid of Domiko Abenya's re-election? You went against it. We are not making any noise. We are making case based on point of law. We went to court. Court decided on the 4th of January. The decision of the court is not expired. The Electoral Commission was mandated to carry out the orders of the court. They carried it out and it was left with 3 polling stations. As I have told you, I have submitted a copy of a response from the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And I've also told you that they have responded to Parliament's decision on invitation. They went and responded to Parliament. They did indicate to Parliament that, in fact, the number of polling stations that are left for them to collate and declare is 3 polling stations. Any right-thinking person cannot appreciate the fact that you can't come and tell us that 3 polling stations are left, and in fact, you have adequate information on them. You just need police protection to get it done. Then you come back to tell us that you want to do a rerun of 19 polling stations. Is this right?
What would you do? What would the NPP do then?
You are asking him to respond to such instances. He's attacking the integrity of women or substance in this country. He's talking about dance and tricking. Come on. Are you telling us that the industry of art should not entertain dance? Are you telling us that a woman doesn't deserve to entertain herself? Even if so, she has done that on public platforms. Please, let's respect women in this country.
So Haruna, what would we do then? What is the NPP seeking to do? I hear you speak legality. What would you do legally? What legal instruments would you be invoking?
We are saying that there is no elections. The Electoral Commission's call for elections, rerun and putting a date is bogus. The party would not listen. We are coming out with a statement. The press conference will be run by the General Secretary of the party tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the party headquarters. We know that the court of the land has spoken. The Electoral Commission's decision to defy these decisions of the court would not stand the test of time. Parliament is a place of records. I've also submitted a record to you. What has changed in the minds of the Electoral Commission? Look, the arrogance of power is clearly setting in very early for the NDC. They speak with so much power. They speak with so much arrogance. They speak with something that they don't know. Power is very transient. I am telling them that we are not going to cow to what they want. We are going to make sure that the laws of our land work.
I hear you say that the Izzy Press, you'd be addressing the media tomorrow. What would you? I hear you say that you're going to be addressing the media tomorrow, led by the General Secretary tomorrow. But since the statement from the Electoral Commission indicating that they will be rerunning the election in 19 polling stations, tell me, have you since officially responded to the Electoral Commission that you're not interested?
There is not. The Electoral Commission has not told us anything. The response to the Electoral Commission is what I have given you. And I'm telling you that the Electoral Commission have also told you that none of the 2 parties had agreed to whatever they are going to do. Something logically should be asking you. You should prick your mind. A commission that tells you that they have done legally possible everything to get the results declared, and it is left with 3 polling stations, is coming back to tell you that they are going to do a rerun of 19 pollings. That should be the key point. You are asking yourself, why not 3? Why 19? Why do they disagree and not even agreeing with one? You yourself is very confident in yourself before Parliament and in Parliament, told Parliament that you are left with 3 and you are ready to declare if security is provided to you. So were you lying to Parliament? Do you lie to us as a political party? So this is a very good test for us in our democracy now. And I tell you that the General Secretary of the party tomorrow at 10 a.m. will be running a press conference, and all the facts of the matter will come to bear. And I'm telling you that we don't recognize the call of the Electoral Commission for any rerun.
Thank you so much, Haruna. Mustafa, before I let both of you go, do you appreciate the concerns of Haruna, and especially the NPP?
The General Secretary of the NPP is seeking for a rerun of his office. He has not been doing anything of late. They have failed to reorganize their party. So if he's organizing a press conference, it's in order of keeping him busy and getting his party people to hear him. My description on the candidate, the very incompetent, candidate that the NPP put in Ablekuma North, can never be an attack on women. It is a description of an unserious parliamentary candidate, a candidate of note that we know have been involved in corruption, visa racketeering, and we all know that is public. You cannot put that individual, impose them on a community that requires change, transformation, and growth. Beyond that, I hope that Haruna will wait so that when we come back to discuss the competence and incompetence of Electoral Commission one day, he will join the NDC in that call so that we can have a strong Electoral Commission. But in the meantime, I believe that the Commission just gave fidelity to law. In as much as two political parties have not agreed doesn't mean that is not law. What the NPP was advocating for does not find place in CI 127. And what the Electoral Commission have said is what the law requires, that when you cannot have a basis of declaring an election, you rerun that election.
Thank you so much, Mustafa Gbande. Thank you, gentlemen, as well, Haruna Mohammed, for joining us today on the very contention on the Ablekuma North constituency seat. Now, away from that, in an unprecedented move, UPSA authorities have launched a major crackdown on indecent dressing among undergraduate students. The school's task force reportedly removed several students from class and sent them home for violating dress code standards. A video circulating on social media captures students being escorted out for breaching the university's dress code. But what exactly does the university's dress code say? I'll tell you shortly, and I'll be bringing you as well what's happening currently on campus. Now, the dress code requirements for UPSA students, if you didn't know, please pay attention. Hats and head covering says that hats and caps are not appreciated, are not appropriate in UPSA. Head covers or scarves that are required for religious purposes or to uphold cultural tradition are allowed. Slogans or pictures on shirts, profanity and nude or semi-nude pictures printed on shirts are inappropriate attire and prohibited. Political slogans, advertisements for products, and suggestive cartoons or drawings are inappropriate and prohibited in UPSA. Continues to say torn pants or slacks or jeans. While this style of clothing may be fashionable for some people, at UPSA, tears in clothing are unacceptable attire and are inappropriate within the UPSA community. Jeans shall not be form-fitting. Torn, dirty or fried clothing is unacceptable. All seams must be finished. Any clothing that has words, terms, or pictures that may be offensive is unacceptable. Baggy shorts or pants. Now, baggy refers to oversized shirts, shorts or pants, slacks or jeans. It is considered inappropriate at UPSA if underwear shows above baggy pants, trousers. This is therefore prohibited. That means autofista. That's the local slang for that description. Now, jogging suits and sweatsuits, UPSA dress down attire does not include jogging suits and sweaters. Sweaters are only acceptable during cold and rainy days. Revealing attire. Revealing means exposing the tummy, waistline, chest, breast, and exposure of underwear. Continues to say clothes such as shorts, crop tops, tank tops, and clothes made of see-through materials, laces, or clothes that expose areas of the body usually covered in the workplace are prohibited. Low-cut pants, slacks should be worn with tops long enough not to reveal waistline when hands are raised. Undergarments. Clothing should not be transparent enough to make undergarments conspicuous. Such clothing is considered disruptive and inappropriate. continues to say body art. Now, tattoos are considered unprofessional, and at no time may a business professional have a visible tattoo. For those who may already have had tattoos on the body before entering UPSA, try not to make this visible by using clothes that can conceal these tattoos. And suits. A suit means nothing other than what the term implies. Sport coats and slacks are not allowed. The suit must be preferably dark, blue, grey, or charcoal, be well tailored, and have no loose threads. Well, I'll take you live on Zoom. My colleague Jacqueline Ansumayebwa is currently on UPSA campus and joins us with more details. Jacqueline, what's it like on the UPSA campus today?
Well, MFA, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our cherished viewers here. I'm currently live at the UPSA campus. Well, it's normal, very normal with students currently. Some of them have closed from lectures. Some of them also headed to the lecture hall. But then, this issue happened earlier today. It was in the morning. We got the news around 11 a.m., 10 a.m. So I got here around 2. So most of them engaging, some of them off camera and also on camera. Some of them witnessed what transpired. But then most of them are of the view they actually agree to whatever rule or whatever thing that is stipulated in the student's handbook when it comes to indecent dressing. That was what I was picking up from most of the students here. But just bear in mind that the students on campus right now are just level 100s. Most of the continuing students are not on campus. So most of the students you saw earlier in the video or the viral video are first-year students. And just as I said, they are well aware of the rules in the student's handbook when it comes to all the dresses, everything. You said everything earlier. They are aware of everything. So they are not really, the feeling is not really indifferent, but what they were particular about was the part where you could see in a video of students being dragged. That is where some of them have issues with. But when it comes to the rules being enforced, most of them are aware of it. So I think we can take a listen to some of the conversations I've had with the students earlier.
Earlier today, there was a video that was circulating of students at UPSA, where in the video, we don't really know the full details, but basically some of the students were asked or sacked from the hall because of inappropriate dressing. Well, currently I'm on the campus to engage a few of the students to find out more what actually transpired and their thoughts about it, what they genuinely think about that. Now, I have one of the students with me. Hello, dear, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay. Now, you were at lectures today.
Yes.
Did it happen? Were you part?
Yes, please.
So you were asked to narrate to us what happened.
I actually had my class at 7:30 a.m. So when I got to campus and I realized there were a lot of people outside, I was like, damn, today too. So
today too is something. Okay, you thought it was something else.
Yes. And I realized that people were standing outside of the LBC block because of improper dressing, and you're supposed to wear shoes and sandals. And
so you're currently wearing a sandal?
I have to buy a new one. I have to rush because I was wearing a leather slippers, which I thought was okay, but I was actually sacked at the entrance, so I had to rush back because I had an IA too.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure, there's been conversations on social media where they said these are stuff in your student's handbook. Were you aware of it?
Yes, actually they brought a notice that some of the student dressing aren't, so we should change it and we shouldn't be wearing those kind of dresses.
But still...
No, for me, I thought the leather slippers was actually okay because I wore it the other day and I wasn't actually sacked. So today I wasn't lucky. I had to rush and go and buy sandals then.
Okay. So what is something that you are taking away from what happened today?
Oh, what I'm taking is that I will not wear slippers again. It's actually going to be sandals throughout.
Okay. All right, sure.
UPSA is professional, so we have to actually be wearing our official way.
Okay. All right, sure. Okay, but you missed the class?
No, I was actually late. I came early. But
you were late and you were also sacked again.
Oh, madam, I had to rush back and go and buy sandals and put it on. Because I didn't want to miss my IA too.
Oh, okay. But you didn't miss your IA. Did you miss your IA?
No, I didn't miss it.
Okay.
Well, how much problems can a person face in a day? You're late and you have to buy new sandals. But why should a university concern itself with how adults dress at the tertiary level? Joining me this afternoon on the polls is Divine Pe. Of course, he is an educationist. Divine, pleasure to have you on the polls today. So you've heard some of the things that the university's dress code has suggested. I've just been reading it to our viewers. Does any of it come to you as a surprise?
All right, thank you. I'm fine. Good afternoon to your viewers. You've read it, and we can question some of them. Some may define some as extreme, but whether in this age institutions still have to have dress code as it's being debated online, I think for me, I don't see any issue if institutions have a dress code, especially given an institution like UPSA, which is a professional training institutions. Of course, when a student graduates, they are going to enter into a profession, and that profession also has dress code. And if these students are being already trained to begin to appear like the professions that they will be entering, I don't see the challenge in it at all. After all, the universities or schools in general do not exist just for academic purpose, but to ensure that they train their products or their learners professionally, so that when it comes to industry will not be raising eyebrow. So no, look at these people, mostly from this institution, this is how they dress. We have to be cautioning them, issuing memo to them just to ensure that they dress up to the company's standard or the institution's standard. So for me, if this preparation is being given to students at this point, it shouldn't be an issue. We can question the formality in which these students and the sanction is being applied. I saw the video. In fact, I do not subscribe to how the sanction was being applied. Some of them were being dragged. That shouldn't be the case. But schools, like any organization, they have institutional identity, and in an attempt to live by their institutional identity, put some of these dress codes in place. I don't think it is discriminatory at all. And if some of the provisions are there that we think that would be extreme and should be redefined, we can have conversation around those one. But to question the generality of why there should be a dress code for students, even in our workplace, we have dress code. What about the student? If in our workplace, our employers expect that we dress up to a particular standard, after all, we also have the right to work. So if we have that right to work, and students also have a right to education, and then in our workplace, despite our right to work, they expect that we can't bring any dress at all to that place. I don't think it's far-fetched for institutions to have dress code. Which, of course, the student read through.
Okay, proceed.
You can. Which, of course, the student read through some of these provisions in the student handbook before accepting admission. So when you get there, you are now not trying to adhere to the institutional principles, then it raises concern because they have lived by these principles that actually make the institutions that they are, which of course makes it appealing for you to want to join.
Do you advocate that such codes be made very, very public so that a person who decides to want to, further the education in such institutions will know what there is that they are going to be facing? For example, like because of a code like tattoo. If I have a tattoo on my forehead and yet the same code bars me from wearing a cap, I wouldn't know. I may have to be a student before I take the handbook and know this. I'm just looking at the practicality of it. Of course, you're not questioning what an institution wants to do, but the practicality of it. Do you advocate that these are very public knowledge dress codes that people should know before they intend to join the school?
I listened to the interview with the UPSA learner. And my understanding is that some of these codes are already, or student handbook already. Yes, I think UPSA issued a presser and they indicated that these handbooks are on their website. My expectation would be that students in attempt to apply to such institution would have also done their groundwork and know what is expected of them. But in general, it's also critical that schools in advertising for admission, they actually raise awareness, or as part of the notice for advertisement, encourage applicants to take a look at their respective policies that they needed to know before the application, so that they do not finally get there and then be feeling ignorance about it. But also going beyond that, it is also critical that we also expect from the student. There are key principles that actually should be underpinning some of these codes and then how they apply. For instance, there is reasonability, so we can question some of these. Are they reasonable? For what reason are they being included in the policy?
Right.
Is it for disciplinary purposes, for safety? Then accommodation. I've seen them make accommodation for religious purposes and cultural purposes. It should be non-discriminatory. Some of the concern people have is that, okay, at times we tend to apply the rule to favor the boys or the girls, or sorry, male or female. So that should also be taken into consideration. But finally, due process should be taken when applying sanction. I do not subscribe to the way the discipline was being applied in the video where students were being dragged.
Right. Thank you so much, Divine Bear, for your submission on the poll studio on this very matter. Please stay with me. We'll be back shortly. In the polls, now Ghana's Gold Board Task Force has made a major breakthrough in the clampdown on illegal gold trading, arresting 10 Chinese nationals caught operating from a private residence in Asankragua, barely 48 hours after a government directive banned foreigners from buying and selling gold. Now, Gold Board CEO Sami Jamfi says the suspects will not be deported but prosecuted. The team seized 1.3 kg gold worth nearly 1.4 million Ghana cedis, over 1.3 million Ghana cedis cash, and 12 pump action guns and large quantities of suspected laundering casino cash.
We at the Ghana Gold Board are determined to show such persons that they are not above the law and that we mean business. And at this time around, you cannot engage in illegal gold trading and gold smuggling and go scot-free. We got solid intelligence from our informants on the ground that there were a number of Chinese, about 10 of them, who were hiding somewhere in Asankragua in the western region. They were hiding in a private residence. We busted them at their base, arrested all of them, and during the operations we were able to seize gold that is worth about, we are talking about 1.3 kg of gold. And the 1.3 kg of gold is worth close to 1.4 million Ghana cedis. That is 14 billion old Ghana cedis. But we also seized a lot of cash from them worth 1.3, a little over 1.3 million as well. So we got gold of about 1.3 kg. We got cash of about 1.3 million. And we got a lot of what they call casino cars. I don't like casinos, but I'm just being educated that these are casino cars. And this is money. So what they do is that they convert the money into casino cars. The 10 Chinese we are talking about are named Tang Dajin. Who is Tang Dajin? You the one? Good. Then Wang Chonling. Then Wei Dong. Li Fushu. Wei Shengxing. He Xinlong. Wu Shengwei, Li Ren Neng, Fan Shenzhan. Who? Oh, raise up your hand. We want to see you. Good. Then Sheng Xinshong. Who is Sheng Xinshong? Other one. Good. So these are the 10 Chinese. Pardon me if I got your name wrong. It's not my language, so. But these are the 10 Chinese who were arrested, and we got gold on them, we got cash on them, and we got 12 pump action guns, which you can see on the table. So these are very dangerous people, very, very dangerous people. Now the grace period is over, and we have given countless warnings upon warnings. And so when you are arrested now, there will not be anything like deportation. And so we have instructed the investigators to build a watertight case based on this solid evidence that the field operatives have made available to them. And by tomorrow, they will be arraigned before courts. We'll be praying the court to remand them into custody for further investigations. And it is our hope that we'll get a favorable outcome.
Now, Sami Jenfi says the latest arrest brings the total number of busts to 17 since the new law took effect, with over 30 million Ghana cedis worth of gold and cash seized so far.
You may only be aware of the Indians, Gotham and Co. They have been deported. They are no longer here. Another batch of Indians were also arrested. They have also been deported because the arrest took place during the grace period. And then I'm sure there would have been one other press conference. But overall, we are dealing with over 17 busts that the Gold Board has successfully undertaken in conjunction with the National Security Secretariat. And all these operations, all these cases are still under investigations. Suspects have been arraigned before court. Some are being prosecuted. Some are assisting us in investigations. And so there are a lot of them. Most of them involve Ghanaians. And for some reason, I would not like to put their names out, but at least I can tell you that the operations that took place at Takwa, Ahojo in the Ashanti region, Denyame, Asenkregwa, and Yinem in the eastern region, Sefhibekwai, Dunkwaofin, Diaso in the central region, Takwa in the western region, Usino in the eastern region, Insuayim in the western region, Wasa, Saha in the western region, Santasi in the Ashanti region, Takwa, Aboso, Obuasi in the Asante region, Asenkrigwa, which is the current one we are talking about. So 17 successful operations. The total weight, gross weight of gold that has been seized is in excess of 12 kg. 12 kg. And when we talk about 12 kg of gold, 1 kilogram of gold is more than 1 million cedis. So you're talking about in excess of 12 million Ghana cedis in gold. Then the cash we have seized is also in excess of 24 million Ghana cedis.
Ghana's hospitality sector is getting a major boost as the Eagles Hospitality Group officially launched a new training school, an initiative designed to bridge the critical skills gap in tourism and hospitality while aligning with the government's ambitious 24-hour economy policy. The Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Honorable Ablekuma North, is optimistic this and other investments will grow the sector. And the say has more in this report.
Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Ablekuma North, underscored the urgent need to invest in human capital across the sector.
As we continue to position Ghana as a competitive and attractive destination in the global tourism and hospitality marketplace, there is an urgent and compelling need to equip our workforce with the right skills, mindsets, and service orientation that meet and exceed international standards in the whole ecosystem of tourism, culture, and creative arts.
She passionately advocated for the establishment of dedicated hospitality schools nationwide, stressing their long-term value to Ghana's tourism growth.
Tourism is a powerful economic driver, and I know that you know it. It creates jobs, stimulates entrepreneurship, supports local industries, and fosters cross-cultural understanding. But the true quality preposition in this highly competitive global industry is not just our sites and attractions, it is our people. Against this backdrop, that the establishment of the Eagles Hospitality School is not only commendable, it is necessary.
Speaking to JoyNews, the CEO of Eagles Hospitality Group, Mr. Christian Asante, revealed that the school will provide partially free training for interested individuals, making hospitality education more accessible to the youth. He emphasized that the initiative is not only a contribution to Ghana's employment drive, but also a commitment to excellence in service delivery across the hospitality value chain.
We are going to convert all our meeting rooms into classrooms in all our hotels in Accra and Takoradi. So you can imagine this room can train 100 people every day. And we have about 7 such rooms. So we can train as many people that are willing to learn, to enter the industry. And part of the training will be free. But by the time you leave, you've acquired skills that you can go and apply somewhere else. Not everybody can work in a 5-star hotel. So some of them go to the 1-star hotel, the 2-star,
As the country embraces a new economic model aimed at job creation and increased productivity, this training school is positioning itself as a pillar of support, equipping young Ghanaians to seize opportunities in a thriving round-the-clock economy. Anne Dasser's report for JoyNews.
And that's how we wrap up today on The Pulse. I am Emefa Akosiadati. Thank you so much for joining us today. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com.